What's up, guys? We are past the pop culture. My name is Ricky with my co-host here, Mr. Fenn.
Yo.
And today we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 2 finally
Woo.
being out officially. Give our official review. We've probably put a good, I guess, couple dozen hours into it now. Not enough hours yet, but also kind of going to go on my own little rant here. So for a lot of you fellow nerds out there that play Paradox games, uh, Victoria 3 came out. And if you've been listening since like the beginning, I think that was like, yeah, when we first started this, I think they announced Victoria 3 coming out or being
Mhm.
developed. Now it finally came out. And I got some things to like unpack and kind of like walk through, kind of rant maybe a little bit because there's a lot of stuff wrong. There's some good stuff, but a lot of stuff wrong that it's just like we'll get into it later. But Modern Warfare 2, I'm at least happy that I like it. I
Yep.
enjoy it. I think for the most part, it's splitting the fan base from are you an OG COD player? Did you play COD when you were a kid? You're gonna enjoy this. If you're a newer COD player, right? You've been playing since maybe Black Ops 3 or so.
Mhm.
Uh like that was kind of more your first stuff, Vanguard, World War II, and all that stuff. If that was more your like introductory into COD, uh, a lot of them seem to be pretty upset and has split the OG fans from the newer fans. And so there's kind of like that civil war going on between like, oh no, this Call of Duty's bad. And all like the old guys are like, what are you talking about? Get out of here, you young
Yeah, we don't want
whippersnapper.
you.
This is and of course, you have all the streamers making this Call of Duty sucks or this is the best Call of Duty ever. It's a good Call of Duty, guys. Like,
Yeah.
just relax. There's gonna be another one in like and not the next Call of Duty is gonna be out before we even know it. Like, relax. Like, it's not that big of a deal if you like it or you don't. Just like the explosiveness of it. Don't worry, we'll have an explosive thumbnail too. We're gonna be like the rest of them. We're gonna be hypocrites, but I do think though that there was a few things that I was kind of like sad, but it always happens in Call of Duty. It's like there's no hardcore, there's no like leaderboards yet or anything like
Yeah, not
that,
yet.
right? Not yet. It's supposed to be coming. Call of Duty always has done that for as long as I remember. They've always
Mhm.
been like they always cut something from the beginning, and everyone's like, "Oh, it should be there in the first place," and this and that, which is true. I'm not gonna lie, it should be true.
It's
Stuff like
debatable.
hardcore and leaderboards,
Oh,
and I
hardcore,
mean,
yes.
what was the other thing? What was it? They didn't even have scoreboards, right? You couldn't even check your
Yeah.
score, or was that Battlefield too? Like I remember Battlefield, like you couldn't check your score or something like that. The
Yeah.
2044, whatever the newest one is. Um, but yeah, like so. I don't know. Yeah, that is frustrating because things that should be in there are not in there. Of course, it's always
Mhm.
done to rush them out of the door because then everyone's like, "Give me the game now!" And then yeah, it's how it happens. It is one of those things. So hopefully we get this soon. I don't know when, but
Well, I
uh,
mean, the season's not even started yet, so I think mostly
yes,
the people who are complaining, not you, but like the ones who are like, I want my stuff now. It's they spend like 80 hours and it's only been out for like less than a week, and because there's people
yeah,
already like almost have the poly whatever, and it's like, holy cow, stop, just
yeah.
enjoy the game. Season one's not even out. You have
Uh,
2 weeks. It's like, whoa.
yeah, because I just want to check my KD. That's it. Like I just want to be like, I'm stomping these kids.
I
What's my
don't.
KD? And I want that satisfaction. You know what I mean?
Nope.
That's
Nope.
all I
I don't.
want it for. Like the leaderboards. That's all I really care.
Not me. I don't need that this season or preseason.
So the thing is, yeah, like with this Call of Duty, I do feel like it just amazed me because it seemed like for the last few Call of Duties, it was like a pretty like 80-20 split on most things. Like you either liked it, like at about
Hmm.
80% were kind of like hating on most of the Call of Duties, and
Yeah.
about 20% like was like a vocal minority that were like, no, the game's good.
Yeah. Vanguard.
Um, yeah, namely Vanguard. But I do like this though. I give it like an 8. That's my rating. I give
And
it an
eight,
8.
really? Holy.
Yeah. I enjoy it as like a shooter.
Wow.
Uh
I just
but
got
also too
flashbanged with
like
that.
yeah. Why you thought it was gonna be like what, like lower?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you say a game being like 8, or at least Call of Duty. You're usually a stickler for Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think it's because uh, it's kind of brought it back like that nostalgic. You got everybody in
Yeah,
game
I was gonna.
chat just screaming
Yeah,
and yelling at each other, and we're all playing it, right? And then we're all sitting
yeah.
there, and then we got Angel over there where he's all like, "You guys are bad, kid," and then the whole lobby just starts going crazy, and everyone's screaming and yelling. So
I
it
mean, he
kind of,
likes it
I
too,
kind of,
right?
yeah, yeah, and like a cousin Angel, where he's usually very angry when he's playing it. He's all like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm still having fun. And yeah, so there are some things where it's like I feel like the time to kill, like I feel like I get killed a little too quick. I usually like a little bit more health, but it's not like game ruining for me or
Hmm.
anything like that. Because I typically play like more hardcore shooters and stuff like that like you get
Yeah.
one shot and it's killed. So it's not a
Hmm.
big deal for me, but it's Call of Duty. So, it's one of those things. But you can give me a million health and I still die and I'm like, I need more health. I need more health. You know what I mean? So
Jeez.
that just maybe me being like skill issue, get good kid. Um
Dang, you never.
yeah, no. Me bad at the game, never.
No, actually,
Um
you've been not to toot your horn or anything, but you've been stomping
yeah.
since
I've
release.
Yeah, I've been stopping since release. Maybe that's why I have such a good like view of it
Yeah.
right now. Because I'm like,
No.
the game's easy for me.
Yeah. Don't ask me
Yeah,
though. Don't ask me.
yeah. You've not been having a good time.
You
I'm literally, yeah, because that's true. I'll be just carrying everybody, and then I'm just like,
I'm over here with
holy,
the M16
holy
crying for 20 hours.
yeah, just trying
Ugh.
to get that stupid. What are you trying to get? Like a
Gold
camo or
camo.
something?
Yeah, I'm trying to do
Gold camo,
everything.
yeah.
I skipped it. I'm done with that gun.
Yeah, so but yeah, so I know that a lot of people have been claiming like crying about and claiming that there should be like a double XP weekend because the game just came out and everything. And it's like, dude, like they there's not enough content really to like be like, oh, let's just get everything grinded out, and then they're gonna be complaining there's no more content.
Exactly.
And then so it's like it's kind of hard because it's like again, this is just a nature of the beast kind of thing. Like people
But
want to
why?
get the stuff sooner, but
Uh-huh.
once they get that stuff, they want more stuff. So then it's like
They're
it's
never
just this
happy.
vicious cycle. So yeah, like to me, I'm fine. Like yeah, it's a little complicated the way you unlock certain guns and this and that, and
Hmm.
but for the most part, I'm like, okay, you know what? I even said like with this Call of Duty when we're on stream, I'm like, you know what? I just want to play it more casual, and
I don't
I
know,
don't want to
Ricky.
get too like into meta and like this and that. Like the game's just been out for a few days. Like everyone's posting like meta videos and this and that. And it's like,
Wait,
and
are
I
they
get it
really?
because everyone's yeah,
I
there's
haven't
been
seen
like
any.
meta videos. I mean, ironically, I think it'd be funny to post one, but like out like a serious, like it's like, dude, it's a couple days. Like, yeah, we know what guns are powerful, like that SA like oh 08, whatever it is, like that rifle, that marksman rifle that I've been
Oh, the
using
S.
for a little
Oh,
bit.
oh, okay.
And
The
I was like, oh,
SPR.
okay, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, whatever it is. Like I was
Uh,
using that for a little bit. I'm like, this is overpowered. And then I switched to like the AK, whatever it's called, the Kostoff, whatever.
yeah.
And I switched to that. So I've been enjoying the AK. But yeah, I think gunplay, sounds, movement, yeah, you're a little on the slower side. Especially
But I
because
like that,
you're not on Adderall just like running
which I
around like
love.
yeah. Bunny hopping's still a little powerful and drop shotting, of course, but that's been around. That's like
That's after the
you know what I
nerf too.
mean?
They nerfed all that.
Yeah. So but drop shotting and stuff's always been in the game. It's
Hmm.
always pisses people off, but
Makes me angry.
um yeah, it's just that's the thing. So yeah, no, I think overall it's a pretty good COD. I enjoyed it to the level that I enjoyed Modern Warfare, and I enjoyed Modern Warfare a lot. The 2019
Oh,
remake.
really? I
Uh,
think this one's way better than Modern Warfare 2019.
Yeah, I would say it's about equal enjoyment for me.
Okay.
I enjoy both because I liked Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. So like this one's kind of like it did feel like an evolution to it, and I feel like I'm
Hmm.
enjoying it. The map wise, some of the maps kind of can be like a little frustrating. I know like people were been memeing the car one where everything's
Like that
like
TikTok
blowing
I
up all
sent
the
you.
time. Yeah, yeah. So
That's a big true.
um So that's kind of like one of the maps that, spawns, of course, are still always a little weird. I get
Yeah.
spawned in front of people all the time. But of course, again, that's been there since like the beginning, right? Like that's
Yeah, they'll
you
fix it
can't
tomorrow.
yeah. So yeah, like that stuff that's always been in Call of Duty. The regular Call of Duty frustrations are there, I
Mm,
guess, if that makes sense. Just, it's kind of like, well, how do you spawn and not die? Like, I mean, look at spawn protection in Warzone, right? Like that just pisses everybody off. So it's just it is what it is. I think some of the complaints on it are kind of, I
mm,
think, a little unnecessary. But I think it's just everybody trying to like get clicks and views and like, oh, this is the best Call of Duty, and or this sucks, and because of this one thing, your movement and this and that's gone, you soy boy. So it's like everyone's like, just play the game and enjoy, man. Like that's how I kind of feel like about this. That's kind of been my message about this. Let's just
dang,
play the game and
okay.
enjoy it. I just feel like no one's like playing the game and enjoying it, fan. I feel like okay, like
Ah,
the OG COD players are just playing it and enjoying it and
uh-huh.
having a good time. But like there's like the sweats that are like really upset
You can
about.
tell, especially because now that I'm playing like a lot more because I was busy on the week or whatever. But like, I'm starting to notice the sweats that used to like slide cancel and break cameras. I can see them
Mhm.
like just suffering, just like by how they
Yeah.
play. And it's like they try to like of course try to do like a bunny hop or they try to do like a dolphin dive, but it never works and they just like flop in the middle of the ground and everybody just shoots them. I was like, I know who he is. He's gonna go back on Warzone tomorrow. It's like
Yeah. And,
just
and in a low key way, I'm kind of glad we're bullying the sweats a little
oh
bit,
yeah.
like it out of the game. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, there's sweats in the game, but like I feel like their tactics just aren't working.
Yeah.
So it's like you can see like the bunny hopping, slide
Mm-hmm.
canceling, YY, whatever, it's just like
Yeah.
it doesn't work anymore to the same degree. Like you can still do it, it just not really effective.
You look dumb doing
Um,
it.
yeah, like everyone's making fun of you in the chat now.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what's going on. Um, but yeah, I don't know. What about you, fam? What do you think about this whole Call of
I
Duty?
I
Like, do you feel like
I
it's
usually
good?
base my Call
Bad?
of Duties if they're good or bad if I want to keep playing. Because there's been like
Mm-hmm.
certain Call of Duties where I just drop it like a week later, and like with this one I found myself like, because we had stuff to do over the weekend. I was like, I don't want to be here. Like
I want to
I
do
haven't
Call of
I, I
Duty.
haven't
Yeah, I
felt
want
yeah
to
I
play Call
haven't
of
felt
Duty.
that way for Call of Duty in a while. It could be the honeymoon
Mm-hmm.
phase or whatever, but like I'm enjoying most guns. Not the
Yeah,
M16. And like the kills feel good. I know the movement's a lot slower, but I like that for my old brain. I don't have to slide cancel every 2 seconds.
yeah,
The maps, I do like the maps. I already have like my favorite, which is like Farm 18, but I think that's everyone's favorite. Uh, that what the car one, the border one, I don't like that anymore. But overall, I kind of agree. Like maybe 8.5, 9, but I'm a Call of Duty shill. So mine's gonna be a little bit higher, but I can see myself playing this for what is it, 2 years that this Call of Duty is gonna be. So now the thing is it gonna be able to be still good when Warzone comes out? Because I think like
that's true.
Hardcore is gonna come out, Warzone 2 is gonna be now, and then DMZ is gonna be out, and then I think like raids or whatever. So it's like I wonder what's gonna happen with that, but I'm like I'm all for it. I want this game to continue to be good. Of course, they have to fix like spawns and some weird other things, but
Oh, like
I
special operations is also be more than
yeah.
like 2 players.
Oh
That was
yeah,
another
like
like.
yeah, because we're gonna do cooperative with three of us, and it's like, oh, you're over the limit. It's like, well, I mean, I guess co-op technically means two, but still,
I
it'd be
think it would
nice
be
to have
cool, like
four,
just to still
like
be
have it
able
like
to,
Spec
yeah.
Ops. But overall, I really like it, and this is officially the most sold Call of Duty in history. So I think the majority of people like it. Even if you're, a Natterall Field slide canceling Fortnite player, you might find something. You might find something to enjoy.
Might find
Dolphin dive
something
into
of
the
value
water.
here.
Why don't you go for a
Hmm.
swim or something? But I do have some
Yeah.
complaints though. It's not perfect game.
Okay.
We've had some issues. We've had some crashes, like
Oh
computer
yeah.
breaking crashes. Like Ricky, yours pretty much blows up every 5 minutes. So, but
Yeah.
I think that's just because it's new, right?
Yeah, I hope that they fix the game crashes because I thought it was just me because my Call of Duty's never liked my computer.
Yeah.
But when you were crashing and then
Angel was crashing.
Angel
Uncle
was crashing
David.
like every other game.
Well, so was
Like
Uncle David,
I
right?
like, yeah, he was crashing like every game. I think, yeah. So there
Yeah.
was tons of crash, like partying up. Seems to be a death sentence. It seems to be like because you can't see everybody's level.
Mm.
Nothing's in sync. Um,
You're
I
lagging or
do.
whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, when you get into the game, it lags for like the longest time, and then like okay, it gets normal. Uh,
I might have fixed that, by the way. So if anybody
so
wants,
yeah, so
I might have.
well, hopefully because it is like when you join a game, it's like you get like
But
half
see,
the.
the
It's not
interesting.
even like half the frames. It's just like you just stop. It's like I don't even know how
Okay,
to word like
so
it's
that's what
stuttered.
I noticed too. Not to like whatever, but I noticed that it's not an FPS issue. It becomes a latency issue.
Okay, is that
But
what it is?
I don't understand how lowering because like I would lower the settings and then it'd be fine. But it's like my frames don't necessarily drop like to like 12 or whatever. It would be like 120, 140. It'll drop to like 80. But then the
Mm-hmm.
latency is like moving from like 5 all the way to 100 to like 90 to 100. So it's like
Maybe
I
everyone's
don't know
just
what's going
lag
on.
switching or something. I don't know.
I think so. But I don't know if it's a graphic issue and it's misreading or something, but it's
It
very
could be,
annoying.
yeah. Like it's stuff like that, or like you can't ping, right? Like they took it out because it was
Oh,
a
they
bug.
they
So,
took that out day 2.
which I don't know, like how it's like, wait, they've had pinging in like forever. Like
I think it's because there's a
just
bug, if I remember
grab
correctly.
the old code and just throw it in. I don't know. Maybe that's not what they're doing over there, but what do I know, right? So I don't know. But yeah, overall, COD's good. I think it's a good game.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be enjoying it for some time. We're gonna be playing it for some time. But yeah, is it time for my rant though, Fen?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Is it
Ricky's 20
time?
minute rant.
Okay. There's gonna be my little rant though. But yeah, overall, Call of Duty good.
Wait.
Victoria 3. I'm gonna just say I don't like it. It's bad. This is just going out to all my nerds out there. I don't
Whoa.
like it. I'm sorry, but I don't seem to be in the minority in this one. Um, I've been watching kind of like a lot of other people's thoughts and reviews on it. A lot of people like certain aspects, but we do tend to kind of find a lot of voices that are like, this game's bad. I'm on the side of the game has potential, but they developed it like, I think a little too quickly. Like, it needs at least another year or two minimum in the oven for it to be like a really good, viable game. Uh, man. So, for people that like don't care about like the grand strategy kind of like world, you know, you're gonna listen to this and be like, all right, like it's just a bunch of nerds arguing about this game. But the problem is that this has been a big problem with this company in general and also the gaming industry as well, right? They've been trying more and more to simplify and streamline the experience, right? Quote unquote. Uh, and they tend to disregard their core player base in order to gain new players, which I understand. You have to grow the base, the following, get more money, so you get more funding and can keep continuing funding the games. But they've seemed to, more and more, they're starting to abandon their core roots just for the sake of DLC and monetization. And a lot of people are saying that a lot of this, and this was happening in Crusader Kings 3, where you had Crusader Kings 2 with all these DLCs and all these features. And I'm talking about like if you buy all the DLCs, which I've been a sucker for, I'll be honest. Not for Crusader Kings 2 specifically, but it's like hundreds of dollars, right? You're spending like $100 to $200 off of DLC alone just to have everything, right? And they pump them out every few months and stuff. And so it is like they are milking the audience, right? Because it is a smaller audience. But with CK3, they threw out most of the DLC they already created, right? So like this was already created in the last game, and then they just remove it in the new game. And then again, you have to buy DLC for the same features, essentially. So you're
Mhm.
just paying for everything twice. And the new games tend to be just like a graphics upgrade, which honestly, I don't really care for the graphics update a lot of the times, like because now they're going more for like a 3D kind of like that watercolor realistic looking, depending on like what, it's just kind of weird. It's a different more like artistic art style, but
Hmm.
I just I feel like that we're shifting away from like focus on the gamer, and now it's more focused on like just the profit. And of course everyone's been saying that for a long time, but it's just really bad. uh this game right here kind of just, and this is just the build up to what I want to say here, is like Victoria 3 is such like a stripped down version of Victoria 2, and it's just missing features that make no sense to be missing, but you can tell they're going to add that in as DLC. They're just waiting to get the money. The game was like 40, $50, right? Which is in its own right, like that's AAA quality. You know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
asking for almost AAA quality for the game. And then now you're like, oh, it's gonna be like $15 to $20 per DLC. And I was like, whoa, 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 hold on here, And I feel like more and more we're heading into this area where it's like it's just not good. You see it, of course, like with Blizzard, right? Like the whole Overwatch stuff right now has been crazy,
Yeah.
right? We won't even get into that, right? But now, gameplay wise, though, I don't I don't understand why they did certain things, cuz like the warfare, everyone's complaining about the warfare. And everyone is like, I don't care if it comes in DLC, just fix the warfare because it's like the laziest way ever to implement warfare ever. Like there's nothing you can do. You just go here, choose the front line, recruit a general, and then like put it there, and then it plays the game for you. And I think that's the problem. It's like the game plays itself for the most part,
Right.
and when it comes to warfare, and then it makes you like micromanage like the weirdest things that you really don't need to. And so it's like, hey, what kind of like production do you want to use? It's kind of cool if you're playing like maybe planned economy kind of country. But the thing is, it's like you can be playing a capitalist democracy like the United States, and it's the same exact experience if you're playing as like an isolationist Japan. And so I just was building everything myself. They removed the capitalist, how they would essentially be the ones building the factories. They don't do that. They throw money at you to be like, hey, you're building this? Okay, here's like $1,000. So it goes part of like the investment funding, but like they don't build it themselves, which that was a huge part of the game, right? Was do you have more of a planned economy or a laissez-faire free trade economy kind of thing? And
Hmm.
they kept I think Paradoxers end up lying for like most of it. They just lied. They were like, it's gonna be an economic simulator. That's why we're getting rid of the warfare. They were like, oh, we're gonna focus on the economy side of things. It's just Anno 1800. That's it. Like that's the game. It's a glorified Anno 1800, right? Like if anyone's ever played that, have you played that before, Finn?
I've played that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like more of a top view Anno 1800. So instead of doing the individual roads and everything,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, let's build this, let's build that, which is fine if, of course, you're like an authoritarian country or something.
Right.
But like, again, where's the economic simulation? The world economics, it's not there. Like, there's really no world economy. It's just your economy. And like, maybe like you get a few other little countries to be in your little market, and then you can micromanage the trading and selling of goods. Uh, but that's like, why do I need to micromanage that? Why can't like my merchants already buy the goods they need in other markets and be
Right.
a world economic simulator, right? Like how it's supposed to be, but it's not. And that's been like the main problem. Is like most of us are sitting here and we've already lost a lot of faith in Paradox because DLC after DLC, they've been disappointing. They can't balance things properly. And it's just like they ask for more and more money each time. And because I'm not like an old school like member of the community. So I kind of came in a little bit more recently.
Hmm.
Um compared to everybody else, I think, who's been in it for like years. But even myself, I've seen it go from, oh, we're trying to get this niche hardcore fan base that really likes seeing and having the ultimate freedom, to just going to a more very casual, very simplified, where they kind of treat the player like, oh, you're too dumb to really know what you want in the game. Like that's how I kind of feel like when they made this game.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, yeah, but when everyone's like, "Oh, we want warfare and like to actually be able to do stuff." No, you don't want that. You want this like pseudo economic simulator. Like, well, what happened to the world economics and industrialization? You don't even industrialize. I can just be some country in the middle of nowhere and be like, "Hey, I get steel mills now. You have iron? Okay, start building steel tools and iron tools or whatever." And it's just like there's no industrialization process, which was in the old game. You had something called westernization, where you would like slowly like gain new ideals and new ways of thinking and all these technologies. And but there's none of that. You just like research it, and
Huh.
like you can be like in the middle of nowhere and you have like a 30% literacy rate, and you basically will be on the same level as like a modern industrial like powerhouse in terms of points for research. You're only like a few points off compared to like, oh, like some small country that has like 10 people in it, and it's like it doesn't matter. There's no balance in it. It's just all the same. That's the thing. There's no life to the game. Even though that's like so much what they tried to do in this. They
Right.
tried to give it life. They tried to do this. And yeah, like you can't even like there used to be like all these lenses that you can look like, oh, the population and that. And like it was just simple and quick. Like you just click the button. And I have to like hunt for these things. And of course it's a new UI, which is just you're in a menu. It's more of a menu simulator. It's just like you just go in and you're on the same menu for like half the game, because you can't do warfare because they took
Hmm.
that from you because you're too dumb to actually manage your units. And then you can't like watch the world economy grow and do things because you're too dumb. And then so it's like they just strip everything from you and you just sit there in the game and you're like, wow, like all you do is like queue up your construction. That's all you do. That's the whole game. You just queue up construction and you're like, okay, cool. And then you click technologies. And then it's like, wow, like I
Boring.
paid $50 for this. So yeah, like I mean, I do enjoy the game onto a certain level, don't get me wrong. Like again, it's still like that management simulator. If you're more into management simulation, then this is more your cup of tea. And I would say, okay, yeah, you would probably enjoy this game. But as like a follow up, a sequel to like probably like the most famous like Paradox title. I mean, or it has a certain level of like prestige within the community, like Victoria too, right? I'd feel like there's a certain like clout that it has, where everyone was like memeing it because they didn't want to make another game for it. Everyone was like Victoria 3 win, Victoria 3 win. And so like every time they would always get asked for that because everyone liked it. It had there's a certain appeal to it, and they just missed everything, right? The politics is kind of boring for the most
Mhm.
part. I do kind of like how there is like a percentage chance, like, oh, does this law pass and stall? But they kind of need to just rework it a little bit because I feel like maybe it's just my bad RNG. I just feel like it never goes your direction, like ever. And if it does, everyone just wants to rebel because for whatever reason, they simplified rebellions so that like it's just a one big pile of rebellions. It's not like, oh, there's this group of people that want to take away this right. And then there's this people that want to enforce that right. It's just like, well, it's just one big pool. It doesn't matter. So then you're just going to get rebellions and you just kind of be told, like, hey, you don't have this group's approval, and then you
Hmm.
try to pass a law and then they're like, oh, you went over the limit. So then I do like the civil war mechanic and like the rebellion mechanic to a certain degree. It's just that there's no like, oh, you took over this country, these people want freedom. Okay, but and then they have their rebellion, which is cool and I like that, but it's just like a big like puddle of like rebellion. Like you're just told, oh, there's this many radicals in your country. It's just one big thing. And it's like where it used to be like a bunch of little mini stuff, like you can see like, oh, the Italians want freedom and this and that, or they want to be able to have landed voting rights. And
Hmm.
so it's just kind of a shame because like I put like nearly like 1,000 hours in the game. So it's like to see it kind of be like reduced to just be like this
Yikes.
casual kind of game. And I know a lot of people were like saying that, oh, it's mobile game like, which it really isn't. I mean, it looks
We don't
pretty
know
good.
that.
I like the art style. Like I think like you're not gonna get that to run on your phone. Like all the stuff that it's doing, it's not. But
Hmm.
it needs a lot of fixing before anything can really be like playable, I guess. And like I mean, you can play it now, but I do feel like it's just missing so much. It's just missing what made Victoria 2 so special,
Hmm.
and they didn't translate it well. I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. Like I know what it was. Like they don't have industrialization. Things are just kind of like wonky and weird. They streamlined and simplified everything to the point where it's just like and I've seen it described as like it's just a very wide puddle. That's the amount of content we got. It's a very wide puddle.
What the heck?
And like in terms like it has no depth to the game. There's no depth to it.
It's just a
You
puddle.
just you're
Hmm.
like, yeah, it's just a puddle, and which is true. Which and a lot of the content feels like there should be DLC right here, right? When it comes to warfare, when it comes to buildings, when it comes to the economy, how you can interact with different countries, and
Okay.
I do kind of like the diplomatic plays and stuff like that. But the problem is, it's like if you go for a diplomatic play, sometimes it's like anybody can just be like, oh yeah, I'm in this region. I want to mess with this. Like, there's no spheres of influence anymore. You kind
Hmm.
of have like these interest things, which I do like, but it's like if France and Britain both have like an overlapping interest there, and then you're like, hey, I want to attack this small nation so I can grow my like country by one state. Britain and France are like, well, we don't like that, so we're just gonna dogpile you. So it makes playing like smaller nations really, really hard,
Hmm.
uh or not really really hard, but it makes it more difficult, which you can try to use politics, but it's such like a barren wasteland that you can't really like influence as much and do things. So it's and of course like there's probably new mechanics that I'll figure out and make things a little bit better, but it's just it kind of feels like it's just like as everyone describes it, it's like green line goes up simulator. And that's kind of sad because Victoria 2 was a lot more than that. And so I don't know, but I've been seeing like just in general, like games have been kind of going down this path, right? Like we complained about it with like Marvel Snap, right?
Right.
That it's just so casual, so like it just treats you like you can't rub more than two brain cells together. Like it treats the audience as unintelligent.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between making games just like ridiculously hard, like they did in the 80s, so that like, you can play the game longer. And then there's
Hmm.
just like treating your audience like, oh,
Like
they're
the two
dumb. But
years
like
old.
there's a good middle ground where like you treat them like, hey, the audience is competent enough to like, play the game. And
Hmm.
we should treat them as such. And I just feel like we're getting more and more games like Marvel Snap. It's just like, oh, you just place things down. I mean, I'm sure there's a certain level of strategy on top of it, but it's very limited,
Yeah.
right? It's not, Hearthstone, which has a little bit more strategy to it. Like you can actually like place things down. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there's been like this real simplification of video games that focuses less on like actually delivering a good experience and just making it so easy and dumbed down to play it that anybody can pick it up, but it just loses all of its value. It loses its uniqueness. So I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Fan, or not, but I've
No,
definitely
yeah,
noticed this
I'm
like
I'm agreeing
downward
to that big
trend.
time. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of sad.
Yeah, because I mean, like I remember games would have like Doom and stuff, right? Like there's
Yeah.
all these secrets and hidden passages, and like, or even in like old games, like yeah, some of them were just really obscure and hidden, and like why the heck did they add that in? And that was just for like artificial difficulty. But
Hmm.
like I just remember like like now there's not really like secret stuff. It's just like in the corner of a room. It's like there's
Yeah.
no hidden passages. There's no like they've removed a lot of that. They've stripped that out like in a lot of games. There's no
Hmm.
like figuring things out. Like it's just
There's
like,
no
oh well, the player's too
sustenance.
dumb. Yeah, there's the player's too dumb. They're not gonna just randomly check this corner. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna make it like flashy and glowy so they know to check here for like this hidden little secret. Like I always enjoyed like
Well, see,
hunting them
that's
down,
that's
but
the weird disconnect between like AAA and like indie games because I do play, I guess, more indie games now than like AAA, and it's like indie
mhm,
games, yeah, they're not overly complicated to like where like I can't play this anymore, but they're not easy. And even if they are quote
yeah,
unquote easy, there's depth to them. And it's like, hey, I'll use like Vampire Survivors. Like, hey, if you use this item and you happen to get this one, if you combine it, you get something new.
mhm,
Or like there's secrets. There's certain things you have to do to unlock characters. And it's like, and then like indie
yeah,
puzzle games, they're like so wacky and that they're somewhat difficult, but like there's secrets in that too. And it's like if AAA is over here making Victoria 3, and then it's like, nah, this game's we're gonna make it so easy, and then just totally spit on
mhm.
the fan base of of Victoria, and then they're just gonna say, you know what, we'll have that for DLC because we don't want to milk money. It's I don't know. I don't know why they do that. People are hopefully gonna realize it and just buy indie games more than AAA. That's what's gonna have to happen.
I mean, because I mean, it is true. Like by making games more casual, more open,
Hmm.
less. Because like I mean, I've shown you how to try to play these games. They are not easy games to get into.
Yeah,
You need to watch.
exactly.
Like I remember when I first got into like CK2, I had to watch an hour guide, and I still didn't know what to do. And I still don't really fully understand how most things work.
Yeah.
I don't play it a lot, but like for like EU4 and stuff, when I was trying to be like, okay, let's like just start this, and I was trying to explain things. Didn't explain it the best because I got into like the nitty gritty like right away. Well, like I should have given you like a more broad overview,
Yeah.
but it's very like there is a lot of depth, and well, EU4 definitely has a lot of its own problems.
Hmm.
And but of course, because the more recent DLC, it's like this is stupid. Why are we doing this? This is
Mm.
overpowered, right? Like and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you do see with indie where they kind of treat the audience as like, hey, these guys are probably somewhat competent enough, like to be able to solve this puzzle. Yeah, every
Yeah.
now and then there's like a tricky puzzle that's just like ridiculous.
Hmm.
But
But
for
it's
the most part,
rewarding.
yeah, yeah, and I think that we lose a lot of the that rewarding feeling in games when it's like, oh, I figured it out. Like even in Vampire Survivors, right? If that was like a
Yeah.
mobile casual game, it just gives everything to you already, or you just
Hmm.
paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Like you either watch like 3 ads in a row and you unlock it, right?
Well,
And
see, even
so,
even then, like Vampire Survivors, there's like a lot of knockoffs, and they became mobile games. But even those mobile games still have death. Of course, you could buy stuff, but it's like they're copying something that works, and then if they can somehow translate an indie game into a phone game and like make it actually good, and like because I'm playing one, I don't even know what it's called, but it's actually fun. It's like, of course, it takes 20 minutes of my time because I want to win, but it's just like there's secrets in that game, and there's difficulty, and I mean, RNG is the difficulty, but it's like, oh, maybe if I get this extra item, I might win the next round. So you play it again. It's like there needs to
yeah,
be
there's
more games
that.
like that. Like, I'm sorry, that's how you play a game, or that's how you're supposed to make a game.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I mean, we were just talking about like early in this podcast, like everyone wants it now. So
Yeah, it's
it's like that's
annoying.
hard, like when designing gameplay, because everyone's already like, I want to unlock all the guns already. Why is there no double XP? So then it does make it hard because then it's like in a game in a grand strategy game, a lot of the rewarding experience is
Hmm.
learning new things, being
Exactly.
like, oh wait, I can do this and do
Hmm.
that, and then you find out
Hmm.
like these neat like tips and tricks, and then you're like, oh, I can do that, and like, oh, I didn't know I
Yeah.
can do this with my garrison army, or like, it's just
Yeah.
there's like different things that you can do, and a lot of it's like, everyone always talks about like, oh, you'll play the game for 300 hours, you still won't know how to play it. You play it for like 1,000 hours, and you still find something new in the
Yeah, but
game.
that's okay. I think
That's
that's okay.
yeah, and it's like that's part of the rewarding experience, right? Because it's a
Hmm.
sandbox. But it's just Victoria 3 is not a sandbox anymore. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a copy and paste sandbox, I guess, if you really want to like it's the same experience. It's just like
For
how
the
much
Fortnite
technology you
kids.
have unlocked. And so it's like, yeah, it's like there's just things that need to be reworked
Hmm.
and revisited to make it a good game. But I don't think like if another and I described it to you like this. When I was telling you about this earlier.
Hmm.
It's like if a different company made this game, but it was like they took inspiration from Victoria 2 but made their own thing.
You're right.
And then if it was like a different company that came out with it and they're like, "Oh, this is like
Victoria like.
Bismarck won or whatever, instead of like Victoria, it's Otto von Bismarck or whatever they called it. And then so they're like, oh, okay, it's a Victoria 2 inspired game,
Mhm.
crossed with like Anno 1800. Then I'd have been like, oh, okay, that's cool. They made their own thing. I wouldn't have
Mhm.
charged 40-50 bucks, whatever I paid for it.
Right.
But 30 I think would have been a little bit more appropriate for what they actually have in the game.
Mhm.
Then I would have been like, oh, cool, another studio tried doing their own thing, right? It's like when Humankind and like Civ 6 kind of went at it, and I really liked Humankind. But if
Yeah.
Civ 6, if Civilization made Humankind, I would have been a little disappointed. But because it was a
Right.
different studio, I applauded it.
Exactly.
So it's kind of one of those things. But that's what I'm saying. Like as a direct sequel, or like just as a sequel in general, just it feels like this wasn't Victoria.
Wasn't a sequel.
Yeah, it just felt like it was kind of its own thing.
Right.
Which if that's what they went for, then they were. If they were like, oh, we wanted it to be this way, like they
Mhm.
wanted it to be micromanagey, more like Anno 1800 style, like uh city kind of like builder kind of games.
Right.
Then I'm like, oh, okay, then you accomplished what you set out. But as a Victoria game, as a grand strategy sandbox, economic world economy simulator of like, and historical simulation for like the 1800s
Uh-huh.
to the early 1900s, I don't think it like matched up to it. I think that's the best way to
That
put it.
sucks.
So it's kind of disappointing, but I bet like a few DLCs in and some reworks and stuff like that, it'll probably be good. But it is kind of unfortunate that like
You had to pay for it to be better? I don't think that's a good
yeah,
idea.
like, yeah, and then, like, the legacy's kinda tarnished here, right? Like, that's what it
Yeah.
kinda is. But, I think it's becoming just more uncaring developers, right? And it's not the individual guy programming the game, like, they have tons of passion of some of the
It's always the
individual,
head honchos.
programmers for the games, but it's like,
Mhm.
it's just like it's the guy that's, like, up top who's just
Sticking
giving
his
out the
nose.
orders. Yeah, and that's what it is. Like I don't think it's the individual game developer that wants some of these things, right?
Yeah.
And it is tough. It is tough because the game's like 12 years old, so it's like certain things are kind of outdated game design wise. Like they're not really how modern game design is done,
I
right?
guess, but
Well, like, cause like the whole originally it was just like, hey, here's everything on the screen, right? Like when you saw me play the game, right? Like
yeah.
it was like, what the heck? There's like so many menus and but it was just like everything on
Yeah.
the screen at once, giving me as much information as possible.
Mhm.
Versus now it's the streamlined experience, the simplified experience, right? And that's
Right.
been the main kind of like game design philosophy right now is simplified, streamlined, very mobile game like in the
Mm.
sense where it's like it's just you just click menu after menu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's just what it's kind of like now. But that's my rant. That's basically what I'm saying. If you disagree and you enjoy the game, I mean that's pretty cool too. Like I don't want the game to be bad, and I've reiterated like multiple times, like I want this game to be good,
Mhm.
and I'm just disappointed in the direction they took it. And I guess if that's the direction one they want to take it, then it's the direction they want to take it, and I'm just going to be left behind, like a lot of other fans are going to be. But I'm hoping they're
Yikes.
willing to listen and be like, "This is not what we wanted," and they fix it, and I'm gonna be a happy man, and I'm be playing and putting a lot of
Have they
hours in
shown that
because
though?
um they were pretty rigid when it came to like combat. They were like, "No, we don't
Mm,
really want to change it," and I really wish they would have tried something new here because they had the chance to.
and they didn't.
And they just took the lazy route. Like they made it basically Hearts of Iron 4, but like if they like removed half the features and
Right.
kept the most frustrating parts about it, and like that's basically what happened. Like, and so it's kind of unfortunate, but I don't know. I still want to hold hope out for the game because I have copium and I want the game to still be good because I think the game looks visually it looks very beautiful. I think I really like how it looks.
Hmm.
There are aspects to the game I do like. I do kind of like the diplomatic plays, even though they could be nerfed a little bit because sometimes it's just like I'm trying to like do this one little small thing and then like I get like Austria like wanting to for whatever reason have like interest in like Southeast Asia. And I'm like, bro, like you can't even get over here.
You
Like,
can't
what are
do
you
that.
doing here? Why do you have interest here? Like, it's just stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to take over
Right.
the small island nation, and then like Austria's like, no, you can't do that, dude. Like, why would you have interest over here? And it's like it's stuff like that that's kind of frustrating because you always get some like random world power that has no business there. They're
Mhm.
like, you know what? Or like you get like a smaller power or some other country that's like halfway across the world that has no colonies there, no nothing. They're like, you know, I think I'm gonna step in here right now, actually. And then like you'll have like Spain, which is like right next to it, and they're like, "Nah, I'm gonna sit this one out." I'm like, "Dude, if anything, this affects you more." And that could just be AI, but it is what it is. But I'll keep going. I'll keep going. So I think we'll call it there because I probably ranted for like an hour on that. But yes, so if you do enjoy the game, then that's good. I give it kind of just like a 5. I think right now it's sitting at
Oof.
like a 5, like a
Dang.
5 to like a 6. Like when I'm on a good roll, I'm on a good roll for the game. Like it still has that like addicting grand strategy feel to it, but it
Mhm.
doesn't have that same dopamine hit that like Victoria 2 would give
Mm.
you. Like I think that's the best way to describe it. Like it's still it's still fun to like map paint, even though like it's frustrating to like use some of the mechanics, but yeah, like it just needs to be improved on, and my score will probably change. But if you enjoy the game, of course, like don't let my bitterness get out of the way of you enjoying your game. So, but yeah. Um, any closing thoughts, Fen, before my headphones die?
No, that was a good rant. I was
Yeah, that was a
interested.
good rant. A lot of thoughts going on there. Kind of repeat
Oh.
myself here and there because I was just frustrated with the game. But if you enjoyed my rant today, I'd very much appreciate it if you left a like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on some podcast listening platform, drop a 5 star, a thumbs up, a heart, however it works on there. A good review, we'd very much appreciate it. Also, if you want to hang out with us on Twitch, we are live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, of course. Um, we'll be playing Warzone when that comes out. Let me think. Follow our social medias. We let people know when we're live, of course. So we're at Past the Pop Culture on pretty much everything. Oh yeah, twitch.tv/Past the Pop Culture, of course, if you're going to be checking us out on Twitch. And yeah, come and hang out with us. We always like talking about all these different things. If you disagree about Victoria 3 and you think it's a wonderful game, I'd be very interested and to hear your perspective on it because I like talking about these things. So yeah, hang out on the Twitch or drop a comment on the YouTube channel. With that, I think that's everything that needed to be said. What do you think, Ben?
Yep, that's good.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace.